Hello dear chess friends. I would like to present to you a very exciting game between Magnus Carlsen and Peter Svidler from the Norway Chess Super Tournament in 2014. It was played in the 8th round when Carlsen was in the top and Svidler at the bottom of the tournament table. But Svidler had the advantage of white pieces, and let's also not forget their last round encounter from Candidates Matches 2013, where Svidler defeated Carlsen and almost disqualified him from the World Championship match with Anand. So all that being said, let's go ahead and look at the game. Svidler opened with c4. We know that Svidler is a big fan of English cricket, but in this tournament we have also learned that he likes the English opening. This was his third game where he opened with c4. He drew the other two games with Kramnik and Karyakin, but in this one he repeated English as well. And Carlsen responded with e5, going for the opposite Sicilian with the tempo down. This is considered probably as the most principled reaction, although the symmetrical English with c5 is also a good choice. So after e5, Svidler responded with knight c3, a move that allows black to develop the bishop to b4, attacking the knight, and then it is possible to trade the bishop for the knight, creating double pawns on the c file. If I'm not mistaken, g3 is the move that's been considered more precise ever since Michael Marin published an excellent book on the English opening a few years ago. Maybe Svidler was not happy with a solid line, knight f6, bishop g2 and then c6, intending to play d5, so he chose a more complex variation with knight c3. And now Carlsen played knight c6, a move that he has played on a few occasions, but Svidler was probably expecting knight f6 instead, and then Carlsen usually goes for the main line here with d5, and these are all typical moves where we get the reverse dragon. And here Carlsen employs a rare scheme, rook e8 and bishop f8. Instead of rook e8, bishop e6 is more usual. But this line has brought Carlsen some success in the past, and probably Svidler was prepared for it, so Carlsen played differently, knight c6, and Svidler responded with knight f3. Again, more flexible was g3, when Carlsen's plan in the game, starting with f5 and bishop and knight f6, could now be answered with e3, a move that allows white to develop the knight to e2 rather than f3, essentially playing the reversed close Sicilian after g6, with an extra tempo for white. But either way, Svidler played knight f3, and now Carlsen, instead of the usual knight f6, which is the main line, and surely something that Svidler was prepared for, he played f5. And this again shows that Carlsen is a master of small opening surprises. He always gets his opponents out of the book before they get a chance to do the same to him. So Svidler already spent some time on his next move, which shows that he was not prepared. He played d3, which is a safe move. He was probably weighing on some other options like d4, which allows black to play e4, and then after knight g5, black is generally doing well in this type of position after knight f6 or bishop b4 even. A refinement of this idea could be g3 first, and then after knight f6, then d4, e4 and knight h4. Then g6 defends the f pawn, and bishop g5 looks like something that might give black something to think about. But anyway, Svidler went for a more modest development with d3, and then after g3 we have bishop b4. As an Imzo-Indian player, Carlsen of course didn't miss a chance to play this move. We should mention that g6, the alternative, is perhaps better suited for King's Indian players. So after bishop b4, Svidler played bishop g2, a move that allows black to damage his pawn structure, but in turn he gets an open b file and slightly better control of the center. The alternative, bishop d2, was safer, but also more time consuming. For example, after d6, bishop g2 and castles, black could now take and play queen e8. A similar plan that was played in the game, and the position would remain complicated. But Svidler played bishop g2, allowing Carlsen to spoil his pawn structure, which is still quite normal. And one thing that's interesting to note is that Laurent Freycinet, one of Carlsen's seconds, played this position with black pieces last year, and this is something that Carlsen's opponents should definitely take into account when they prepare for games against him. But judging from Svidler's hesitation in the opening, he probably didn't pay attention to Freycinet's games in this line. And he played the move rook b1 after some thought, trying to put the open b file to a good use. The target is of course the b7 pawn, which supports the knight on c6. And black has to be careful that this English bishop on g2 doesn't do some damage on the long diagonal. And another plan that white might carry out is pushing c4, c5, trying to get rid of double pawns. So black should try to balance defense against this plan with some attacking ideas on the king side. The position is of course complex, promises a good fight, and Carlsen continued with queen e8, a standard plan in positions where black has played f5 and e5, such as the Dutch. So his idea is to transfer the queen to h5, then push f4 and make some threats with bishop h3, knight g4, and so on. Basically trying to get some attack going.